Hello my friend and welcome to Max DM Crafting. In this series I will take you hand in hand on a journey through my best dungeon sets. I will show you their composition, some of the ideas that have made them famous on the tabletop gaming community. We will see together some of the most amazing of my underground scenarios, going from very intricate sets like my Silent Tomb to very large sets like those inspired by famous video games such as Diablo or Skyrim. Each of the videos will deal with a specific set. Remember to subscribe on the channel and click on the notification bell to not miss a single episode. If you like my content and want to see more, you can support the channel on Patreon. Every week, exclusive content and the security of allowing the channel to continue and do better and better. That being said, let's get started. Every self-respecting fantasy city must have its own sewer system. The more intricate and full of recesses, the better. A very effective way to represent the sewers on a game table is to build maps with square sections. Each section can contain a straight line, a curve, a T-junction, a four-way junction, etc. Adding passages and details, you achieve very quickly a decent set. My first version of the sewers was bordering on the banal. It had elevated sections representing dry passages and more subtle sections of green sewage. I had foreseen special elements with drains and passages and a couple of end sections. Let's say that to have fun and schematically represent a 3D map, it was more than enough. The creation of my fusion tile system, however, took all my dungeons, this one first, to another level. If you don't know my system, follow the link you see above. The construction of reversible tiles, therefore two-sided, suddenly expanded the possibilities to expanding the map, a step forward which, as you can imagine, laid the foundation for other decisive elements. I immediately realized that in an extremely modular and homogeneous system like the one I was creating, the walls would not only be beautiful from an aesthetic point of view, but also absolutely necessary. I started by adding straight walls from my set of dungeon walls, but then I realized that I needed more. First of all, to give the idea of being inside the sewers, I would have to create drains and pipes for the water. Secondly, to increase the level of involvement of my players, I wanted to create a multi-level sewage system with cascades of sewage that made it clear that the water was ending up somewhere further downstream. My dual-function walls, which you can find in the link above, had just that function. They worked great. Once I defined the number of tiles I would need to complete my set, I added an element which, in the long run, proved to be a clear turning point in designing my system. My sewer gate, which you can find built step by step in the link above, it's a modular system capable of acting as a barrier, crossing point or inversion point within the ducting system. Infinite possibilities. One of my very first adventures, one of the first where I played as a DM with home-built terrain, was simply called The Great Adventure, and it started in an inn. The adventure led the heroes to the back of the club, and more precisely to the city sewers. The most important piece was certainly my entrance to the sewers, or the first tile that brought the heroes from the basement floor of the tavern to the floor of the sewer canals. Such a piece at the beginning of the exploration immediately gives the players the idea that an exciting journey awaits them, without excluding surprises. When I created the entire system, I did not limit myself to sewer tiles. Every corner could hide an entrance to service rooms, warehouses, or holes with levers for regulating the flow of the water. Adding traps doesn't make much sense, unless you figure the sewers were colonized by the Skaven, which in my case was absolutely true. Position levers for opening gates, valves for the flow of water, secret passages and enemies. The latter, in my adventures, are always divided into two categories. Enemies characteristic of the environment, in this case rats, bats and snakes, and enemies who have settled in that particular context, and who therefore may have enriched it with traces of their own civilization and with traps. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. In the next few episodes we will explore more about the design phases of a dungeon and which elements are important to reproduce on the game table to increase the immersion and the involvement of the players. Till next time, happy crafting!